Hello and welcome back to the Great Unexplained Debate and part 2 of this very interesting debate about paranormal television shows. Now with me I have Geoff Adams, the channel manager for the Unexplained. I have Yvette Fielding, broadcaster, owner of channels, owner of production companies, producer, executive producer.
All right.
Author. I have Cath Howe, who's one of my favourite people in the whole wide world. And she's a makeup artist for Yvette and everybody else. She does very famous people as our Cath, haven't you, Cath?
I have, yes. She's been on a few paranormal investigations herself.
Well, collectively, everyone here is a paranormal investigator, and that's why we're all here. But we're also involved very heavily in the making of television programmes. So that's why we're all here together to discuss, is it a good thing or a bad thing to have paranormal television programmes? If so, how can we make them better? And how can we not saturate the market, but how can we maybe get together and all of us pool our footage, because that seems to be something we'd like to do, and openly criticise each other, not negatively criticising each other, but constructively criticise each other to make this work better. Now, we left last time on us talking about paranormal groups. Now, you quite happily, you said that there was how do you vet a bad group? Well, how do we vet a bad group?
Do you get a panel? And if you get a panel of people, where do you get that panel of people from?
I think I mean, you look at the ISPR. I mean, they've been a group that, you know, their main offices are in London. They've been going for a very, very, very long time. I mean, Harry Price, you know, was one of the people that set it up, one of the great ghost hunters of our time. And, you know, it's having a group of people like that, a home for paranormal, not just ghosts, but anything to do with paranormal, UFOs and so on. And I think it's having a society that is set up specifically for that job. And it can't just be a group of people. It has to be for some very well respected and renowned scientists, skeptics, paranormal investigators that have been doing it for years, that people would look up to and respect. You know, you couldn't really just have, you know, a group of people like ourselves sat around and going, oh yeah, we should be the head of whatever. They have to be, I think, people with a wealth of knowledge and experience that people would look up to and respect. And I think if you have that group of people and they vet and they, you know, keep an eye on what's going on around the country, and it's almost like to be a part of that group, you have to pay so much money a year, and when people look on the website, if they want a paranormal group to come around to the house to investigate their property, they have to have that stamp of that seal of authority. They have been vetted, they have a certificate to show that they are who they say they are, and so on. That's what I think.
I have to say that it does seem quite ludicrous that people will open their doors to anyone, almost anyone, that calls themselves a paranormal group. However, for, you know, the gas board, electricity, the police, anyone has to have some sort of identity card that before you let them in your house. And yet you have these people with priceless antiques and priceless paintings and these all around the house, and they will let a group of people in. But they will they let these people in for a night, and quite often they will let them on their own in their house for a night with no authenticity whatsoever. And I think that, but it's still my point is how do you do it? Even Harry Price had people being quite negative towards him. I mean,
oh gosh, yeah, lots of people, being negative towards him.
And the trouble is how do you get the people in this industry, and it is an industry, to be looked up to? I don't know of anyone where every group looks up at one person, because everyone has a negative thing to say about something.
I'm sure there are. I mean, but for me, I still consider myself a layman when it comes to this sort of thing, because you've got the ISPR, who are, as I said, based in London, who I don't know much about them. I don't, because sort of my background is television. It's not, you know, first and foremost, it's been television. And I've heard of this group of people. We are members, aren't we, Karl?
Yeah.
Now. But I look up to them because they're so established and they've been going for such a long time. And I truly believe that you know, maybe if I was to delve into more of their history and who runs it, I might go, I'm not quite sure. So, so much now. But from where I'm stood right now in this moment, I actually do look up to them as an organisation because they've been around for a hell of a lot longer than I have.
But this is that point that the ISPR has been around for a long time and has that credibility, and it does. I mean, it's got its weaknesses, but it's also got many more strengths than it has weaknesses, and it's one of the things that something like that, an institute like that. Is there a possibility that you put too much trust in it, too much trust in what something will say? What I'm trying to say is, should we not have a board of people that have nothing to do with the paranormal whatsoever? They just have a set of guidelines that have to be followed, so no one has to look up to them. They just have to, like with television, you have Ofcom. They are people who make programs. They are people who safeguard people from bad programs, allegedly. I mean, they do, and they do, on the whole, do a very good job. But they still have their failings. But they're not. It's not going to a television production company to ask about television production. You're talking to a completely independent group of people, and is that what we need?
I don't know. It's certainly something to think about. Yeah. I mean, it's made me think maybe so. I couldn't give you a yes or no answer now. It's certainly something to think about. And many people watching this programme will have their own ideas, won't they? And probably email or write into us and say, "Have you thought about this? What about that?" Or, I don't know. Right.
First, this is my show, okay? And I will tell people to email. Please can you email in if you have your own views on this particular point, and also if you have any views on Yvette Fielding taking over my little show. This tiny little bit of television I have that is mine.
It was just a suggestion.
Write in and email in, but please email in. Just can't help yourself, can you?
Sorry.
No. Good point, because I'd forgotten to say that. But this is the whole thing of trying to control something with a stamp of authority. So at least when people turn up somewhere, they are the real deal. It doesn't matter if they'll make mistakes in the actual investigation, which is fine, but you're not going to have somebody running around your house, getting drunk and ruining people. We've had this, haven't we?
Yeah.
We've had complaints where people called us up and said, "You've ruined my house." And obviously you have to take that accusation very seriously. And when you talk to these people, you realise we've never been there. And it was this group calling themselves the most haunted pre-shoot crew, who were going around calling people up saying, "We're the pre-shoot crew. We turn up at the house, and if it's haunted, then Most Haunted come." And you got these great big manor houses who are desperate for a bit of publicity. We're letting them in. And this one lady, sadly, she had they'd spilt beer on her carpets and broke one of her very old
cigarette burns in the carpet as well.
Yeah, and it was that chaise lounge. It was apparently from the 1700s or something. It was completely ruined by them, and you feel very sorry. But she's not insured for that, because she's not insured for because obviously we have to be very highly insured for wherever we go. And it's so sad that people can do that, and this type of thing would actually stop them. But what else can we do? What else can we do collectively now? Because that's not going to happen. We know that's not going to happen.
Take our clothes off and run around naked. That might help.
Well, if you do that now... In fact, I'll tell you what. We're going to go for a break right now, and Yvette is going to take her clothes off and run around naked. But you're not going to see that, because we're keeping that just in this bit. While you're watching people selling you stuff, we're going to be watching Yvette Fielding naked. The cameras will be rolling, so it'll probably end up on YouTube or somewhere within the next minute or so. Anyway, join us please in a couple of minutes. We'll have big smiles on our faces, and you won't. But anyway, see us in a bit. Bye-bye.
I was only joking.